So I was like, well, what do I do now? I've made all this noise, and I was the smartest stuff, right? So what do I do now? Yeah. Well, it stands to reason that jokes, right? But people have done jokes before, and hold on, I'll be back in a second. I don't have very good special effects. Bear with me. This is the beginning of the movie. All right, that's it. I'm gonna put some music in, but I thought it's too expensive. I want to save money, right? The so this first joke is about comedy as comedy, right? Um, you know so a lot of people will go, they'll come up with some sort of joke, right? And and they'll do cringe comedy, and it's like that's not jokes, right? And but sometimes sometimes my dog, I don't have a dog, looks at me when it's taking a shit with those big doe eyes, right? And I laugh. Dog doesn't, it's feeling an enormous amount of pleasure at that moment, and it doesn't have any context for why I'm laughing. And a lot of times, with jokes, context is everything, and so you want to make them of appeal to as many people as possible, and not offend anyone, really. So and what would a joke like that look like, right? Let's use this joke for example. Let's say, hold on, let me pull up the next slide. Let's use this joke for example, right? Hold on, 1 second. Put it on the next slide. Oh, thanks. Right? Take this joke for example, right? If you can see this joke, right? If you look, that's Hollywood, right? That's the movies, right? And there's nothing there. Hey, you're like, can't you see the fleas? Can't you see the fleas? No, I can't. And that's the big joke. That's the big joke, right? You're like, what's the joke? What's the punchline? That's the joke, right? And some people they'll go, they'll do some sort of long, elaborate, scam of attention. It's some story about some guy, his name's Tad or whatever, right? And he walks into food place, right? And he gets in there. And he sees on the left, he sees the fruit, right? And he looks to his right and he sees, well, there's all the boxed vegetables or whatever. And then, he looks past that. He gets a little bit to the middle of the bag. You know what he sees? there's cheeses, there's types of cheeses in kind of a refrigerator. A refrigerated section. If that makes sense. And you, if you look to your left, right, you can see, well, there's shredded cheese, right, and there's the eggs, right. So one of the chicken across the road, right? That old yarn. Anyway, so the the point of jokes is not just to tell. It's not just to tell them, right? It's not just about haha. You told a joke, funny stuff or whatever, and people laughed, whatever, right? That's fine. Or it isn't, and I don't want to offend anyone. If someone thinks, well, haha, funny stuff, whatever, laugh a lot, that's offensive, right? I don't like that. Fuck you, eat shit. That's fine too, and I don't want to hurt their feelings, right? Even though pain is pleasure to them, and and I need to recognize that. As a comedian, when I'm doing my jokes, and some of my jokes, you might hear they're like, well, this or that, this thing or whatever stuff, and this thing or whatever stuff, or whatever, not too different thing or whatever stuff, just kind of a, just whatever, a meh or whatever, and into some sort of establishment. And something or other could happen or whatever. It doesn't matter. Hold on 1 second. I'll be back. All right. So no, I didn't cut away. I'm not some asshole that hides cuts. And it's you just think, oh wow, he's doing this all in one take. But was it really one take? Did he walk away, and then we walked out of the frame? Did he cut it, and then hide the cut because there's nothing in the frame, you can't tell, nothing's moving? That'd be kind of clever, But I wouldn't do, especially on something that's about jokes. I wouldn't do that to the audience. So, let's be serious, right, about jokes for a second, right? The point of jokes, in history, is if you go back to the dawn of time, and that's kind of a mystery. It's hard to say. Say when did jokes start, right? I don't remember. Do you remember? Hey, what's your name? No, I don't know. Right? Oh, okay. Right. Well, he doesn't know, so we don't know when jokes started. So the one of the points to jokes, is for people to, they say, well, ha ha, or whatever. You laugh a little bit. That's fine. You go out. You laugh a little bit. you laugh a little. You hear some jokes. You hear some comedy. You say, oh, or whatever, right? This big sigh or this big guffaw. Yeah, but before, and then you hear the joke, and you're like, "Wow!" I heard the joke. Smiley face, frowny face, upside down. Right? I don't want to be sarcastic about this. I don't want to be sarcastic, right? I don't want to be sarcastic or use some type of weird accent, right? I don't want to use some type of weird accent, or some type of, I don't want to do that. I'm not one of those people. I'm not talented or something like, those are approximations at best, so far, right? So what is the appeal here, really? With jokes, I mean to say, you say there has to be some redeeming quality. All jokes have to be designed to make people laugh in a certain way, for one, right? And let me say another thing, right? Some jokes, right? Not all of them, right? And some of them are fine, right? The other ones, not so much, right? And hold on one second. I'll be right back. All right. So I got my bing microwave banana, right? And don't need that, right? Where you need to focus on comedy. You say, how did you do that? You walked off frame. You came back with a banana. That's the magic. Houdini, ship disappears, poof, gone. That's fine. Uses a green screen or alien, technology, or something. A wizard, I'm sure. But nothing like, I walk out of frame. First of all, you can't tell if I just cut out or not. And I come back in, let me go get it so you have some sort of visual. Alright. So you know what I'm talking about. This is the banana I was holding before. Let's get it out of here. We don't need it. Let me get it. Let's get it. Alright, so we don't need it, right? It's not necessary. The most fruits related comedians, right? And that's not some sort of epithet, are it's just low-hanging fruit, like they say. So I don't want to pigeonhole any of these fruit people in their have you heard about Banana Dean in the 70s, right? Yeah, and say it's a scam to get or whatever, and then cum everywhere or whatever, and down her throat or whatever, and that's fine, and this. And I'm not going to be a dirty comedian all of a sudden, by the way. I just want to say, and I'm not doing, this is comedy is comedy. I'm not doing jokes, all right? I want this isn't some sort of, ha-ha or whatever, funny stuff. I tell a joke, you laugh, ha-ha-ha or whatever. And then I tell another one, lather, rinse, repeat, and that's fine. You feel happy or whatever. That's not what this is. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Where is it? So this, if you saw what I was holding before, this is a banana, right? I'm going to throw it out of frame again. Just so you remembered, it's called a callback, right? And a lot of people don't know what that is. They don't work in show business, right? But that's when you hold on. Let me go get it so you can remember, right? This is the banana I was holding before, right? So let's get that out of here, right? And what I just did is called a callback, right? And you know, I could do it over and over. Let me show you. I could do it over and over, and you couldn't tell necessarily that. See, I'll go back and get it. I could just be cutting out right now. And you know, it's not some sort of impressive coda or something. Hold on, let me go get it again. Right? And you know, and that's kind of the magic to it. You know, if you don't comment on it, it's kind of a how-to for, you know, throw that back over there. Let me go back and get it. So it's kind of a scam on the attention, you know, because I made so many edits on this. It's not, there's no real performance to it. And so, you know, where's your suspension of disbelief? You know, it's like Star Wars, you go, oh, that doesn't look real or whatever. We're not in space. And you know, and that's not funny to you pay $15 or whatever to see, you know, some lady, you know, hack all these people up with her lightsaber or whatever, and which is fine in space, which is great, you know, and you know, and you're at the theater. Let's say let's say movie theater jokes. Let's talk about that. So you're at the movies, and you're sitting in the back of the movie theater, and you're like, these jokes, I mean, whatever, this movie, right, about jokes or whatever, you might be watching this movie, you know, Comedy as Comedy by Scott West. And you might say, well, this isn't funny, right? I haven't laughed once, right? Well, that isn't for you, right? It's for all the other people that, you know, and it's not for laughter necessarily, like I said, and it's not necessarily not for laughter. It's kind of indeterminate, right? So it's like, well, I'm 1 foot in and out of the water of what it is necessarily, and in that, it's not anything really, right? And in that, right? Hold on, let me go get the banana again. So, yeah, if you saw that, that's you know, it's a callback, like I said before. And if you call back on a callback, that's kind of what, you know, what I've just said. You know, I don't need to reiterate it or whatever. So, so, you know, or whatever. So let's say our joke starts off, we're writing a joke, right? Say up here, pretend we have a whiteboard, and and right here, you know, there's like joke 1, right? And then right here, there's like joke 2, joke 3, right? Right? You get down here, there's joke 4. Joke 5, joke 6, joke 7, joke 8, joke 9, joke 10, right? All the way down. You know, how many can you count, right? How many can you put on there? Just imagine that, right? Imagine all that, right? Hold on 1 second, I'll be right back. And when you get to the bottom of the list, you go, huh? You know, I just dropped this banana down there, right? I don't need that. I'm not going to eat it at this point, right? The point of comedy, right? You say, why am I jokes, right? Why, you know, the Milgram experiment, right? Dr. Milgram would come in, right? Kind of like a comedian, right? And he would say, all right, everyone sit down, we're going to torture the shit out of this guy in the other room, right? and then they would. They all get paid. They come in every week. They do this. Everyone get paid a shit ton of money, and then they would leave, right? And they do this every week, and you know that's history, right? And they still do that today. But you know, before that, you know, it was like, well, did the good doctor, you know, it's hard to say. The control set of reality, right? You know, like what are jokes before social media? Let's say let's say the typical, you walk into a bar, right? And it's like X and Y, and they walk into a bar, right? And they get in there, and this this monkey is fucking a lizard in the mouth, right? And there's all these religious people watching, right? And they think it's hilarious, and some of them are jacking off, right? So. But that's, you know, and that's fine. So you run out of there, you're like, Jesus Christ, what is that? What was that? History? Yeah. Hollywood, right? You look back, there's the Hollywood sign. Jokes, come back, right? No! And you're running away, right? You've made it to Reno, Nevada, right? And there go the bats, right? You keep running, you know, you're Forrest Gump, you know, chasing Jenny, right? And but she isn't there. You're just like addicted to it, you know, endorphins and you know, cortisol. You know, if you run enough, and if you're dumb enough, you can run a long time. I mean, just watch the movie. The point of jokes is usually to, you know, sometimes the comedian will, you know, it's like he's letting the mood down, right? And you know, let's forget about the jokes for a while, right? And let's just talk about, you know, whatever that would go on at that point, right? And that's fine, right? That's fine. But you know, I don't do that. I just talk about kind of like, you know, let's say, you know, why did the chicken, you know, why wouldn't the chicken cross the road at this point, right? Right? I mean, we've been talking about it so much. There's been so much buildup, right? You know, all these jokes. People have been telling these jokes for all this. Like, this motherfucker, you know, never does it, right? He just stays home. It's like Barry Lyndon, but you know, successful at the beginning. And that's not a joke. You know, you know, those two people are very happy, and there's a lot of good. I don't want to get into that necessarily, but what were we saying? We talking about Star Wars? Let's see. Jokes. All right, so let's talk about the Bible for a second. You're like, oh no, right? Yeah, me too, right? But so, you know, wandering. Hold on, let me take this off. 1 second. Wandering in hopeless night, right? You know, through a desert. You know, the pharaohs to the sands of time, right? And I'm sure, dot dot dot, you know, there's these goats or whatever, and this all seems very plausible, or at this point, and or whatever, and so long or whatever with these goats in the hot desert, and then there's this big mountain or whatever, right? And the guy, you know, the guy with the beard, you know, he's like, he's running up already. Oh, he goes, wait, right? Whatever you do, don't eat any sandwiches, right? And they go, what? You don't know what that is, right? And so cut to, we're at the you know, the traveling cook or whatever they have. He's got his tent out, and he's got a cutting board, all these accoutrements, these utensils. You know, he's got. Oh, we found some tomatoes, right? Somebody said, "Oh, bring them down," right? He says, and so chop, chop, chop. Then his assistant goes, "Oh yeah, there's some chopped tomatoes. All right, I found some grain." He says, and so they bring that down. You know, so they bake a loaf of bread, right? And chop, chop, chop. And he goes, "What's better than that?" And his assistant goes, "Oh, it couldn't be anything." Being very agreeable, you know, the kind of the psychosexual overtones that, you know, you might experience in a kitchen relationship with a, you know, a cook and an underling, right? You can kind of feel it, kind of heated, and it's very hot. You know, the tent, you know, they're baking. They've got this clay oven somehow, and all this, you know, the stainless steel grill, nice fridge, right? And as I found some lettuce, right? They bring the lettuce down, right? And then he chops that up, right? And so he's got bread, and he's got tomatoes, and he's got lettuce, okay? And you know, they had a few pigs with them next to the goats. You know, once upon a time, and his assistant's like, "Oh, I can't believe you did that," but then there's all this fresh bacon, right? And very quickly he smushes it together and he says, "Try this," right? And the guy goes, "Oh, it's too dry," he says. And what do you think it needs? And the guy goes, instantly, right? Mayonnaise. It needs mayonnaise. And then there's no goats or whatever. Dot dot dot. Here we are, right? You know, there's a 50-gallon chunk of mayonnaise all of a sudden, and there's no goats. You know, that's what the milk they're drinking or whatever. And then so we cut to, you know, the foggy docks and of all the times. No, I don't want any, right? And you know, and the smoke clears, and you know, the White Star Line, the biggest boat that ever was, and what a lot of people don't know is, well, there were 1,600 people on the Titanic. There was 1,600 full-size Clydesdale horses. And each and every passenger had to have one in order to gain passage. As what a lot of people didn't know back then is horses ruled the world. It's true. And so you can just imagine the captain. He's standing at the top of the ship, right? And he's looking down. You know, he's kind of, and there's the ship coming out. All the horses, they're playing billiards and shuffleboard, and they're in the galley. They're eating the meats and cheeses, enjoying wine, and and they're and or not enjoying one, right? And being very verbose about it, very alliterative, and the captain, he's like, my God, and hey, captain, and then he's like, what? You broke the mood, right? And well, this is a fucking this is an iceberg or whatever, right? And so they turn away, and the rest is history. So we cut to the Yulin Dog Meat Festival, right? At the Yulin Dog Meat Festival, right? And I want to thank everyone for coming here, right? For providing all these delicious meats and cheeses, and I also want to thank. But before we get to that, right, I have to address something else. What? Oh, yes. The business with Jimmy. Some of you might have read about it in the news, heard about it on your TV set, seen it on the radio. The business with Jimmy. And you see some of the articles, some of the posts. Jimmy this, da 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 da, Jimmy that, something or other, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. And you think, well, what am I to think? Jimmy this, Jimmy that. They say, well, Jimmy, so, I went down there. I went down to the docks, right? I talked to Jimmy, right? I talked to him long and good, and I came out of there feeling pretty good about what we had talked about. And whatever. And some of you, like I said, what? Read about it in the news. Yeah, read about it in the news. Not in the papers. No, heard it in the papers, right? And then saw it on your radio set, right? And you've seen these articles, right? And it says Jimmy, something or other, and it's very elaborative. If you read it, you would know, right? And so I went down there, but first I watched a few. You do a few searches. You say, well, I type in, hold on. I typed, just for example, I typed in Jimmy this, right? Jimmy that, Jimmy this, that, or whatever, and right, and the and the what is it? The Jimmy, you know, like, and so I went down there, right? Down where you said to the docks, you know, like I said before, and like I said, I talked to Jimmy, right? And you know, a lot of people say, well, Jimmy cracked corn, right? And but I can't, right? So let's eat,